Let's talk tariffs, specifically the 100% tax on Chinese electric cars. It's a move that's making headlines and sparking heated debates across North America. But what does it really mean for you, for the auto industry, and for the future of green technology? Imagine you're eyeing a bargain EV from China, maybe even planning to make the switch to electric for the first time. Then, overnight, the government steps in and doubles the price with a single policy. Suddenly, that affordable dream car is out of reach, and the market looks completely different. This isn't just theory or speculation. In late 2024, both the US and Canada imposed massive tariffs on Chinese EVs, sending shockwaves through the industry, and leaving consumers and automakers scrambling to adapt. The goal behind these tariffs? To protect North American auto industries from being steamrolled by China's cheap, high-tech cars, which have been flooding global markets and undercutting local manufacturers. China's rise in the electric vehicle world has been nothing short of meteoric. Massive government investments in battery technology, manufacturing and research have given Chinese companies a huge edge, allowing them to produce EVs at a scale and price few can match. North American leaders worried that their own investments in green technology and electric vehicles would become obsolete before they even had a chance to pay off. The fear was real. Could local innovation survive this global competition? The message from policymakers was clear: if you want to sell electric cars here, you need to build them here. It was a call to boost local manufacturing and keep the benefits of the green transition close to home. This was more than just a new policy. It was an escalation of the protectionist strategies that first took root under Trump, now taken to a whole new level. The core idea was simple: keep jobs, investment, and the benefits of a green economy at home, rather than letting them flow overseas. But now, in October 2025, Canada's Prime Minister is considering breaking ranks with the US and the rest of the alliance, a move that's sending shockwaves through the entire strategy and raising tough questions about the future of North American cooperation. The once solid united front is starting to crack, and with so much at stake, for jobs, industry, and the environment, the outcome has never been more uncertain. Enter Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister and former central banker, now facing a political puzzle that could define his legacy. Carney, known for his calm under pressure, is suddenly thrust into the center of a storm that's as much about global power as it is about local jobs. In September 2025, his government announced a review of the 100% EV tariff, hinting at a possible shift in Canada's trade stance. The move was unexpected, and it immediately set off speculation about what Carney's government might do next. That alone sent shockwaves through politics and business. Why risk it? Leverage. The review was more than policy. It was a signal to both allies and rivals that Canada was willing to play hardball to protect its interests. China retaliated against Canada's tariffs by slapping huge taxes on Canadian farm exports, especially canola. For prairie farmers, this was a devastating blow, cutting off access to their most important overseas market almost overnight. Now Carney is caught between Ontario's auto workers, who fear for their jobs if tariffs are dropped, and prairie farmers desperate to regain their biggest market. Both groups are vital to Canada's economy, and to Carney's political future. He's also navigating international diplomacy, recently holding high-stakes talks with China's premier. The world is watching, and every word, every handshake, is scrutinized for signs of compromise or resolve. China's message is clear: lift the car tariffs and we'll buy your crops again. The offer is tempting, but it comes with strings attached, and Carney knows it. For Carney, the tariff is a bargaining chip to save Canadian agriculture, but it's also a test of his ability to balance competing interests and keep the country united. But breaking from the US could infuriate America and threaten the auto industry. The US is Canada's biggest trading partner, and any rift could have consequences far beyond cars and crops. He's balancing on a wire: help farmers or keep the US happy and protect auto jobs. Every decision is a gamble, and the stakes couldn't be higher. One wrong move could mean disaster for either sector or both. The pressure is relentless, and the margin for error is razor thin. The stakes: nothing less than the future of two of Canada's biggest industries, and the livelihoods of millions of Canadians who depend on them. Carney's next step could reshape Canada's economy for years to come, setting a precedent for how the country navigates global power struggles and protects its own. In Ontario, the EV tariff is a lifeline for auto workers and a $46 billion investment in Canada's green future. For these workers, removing the tariff feels like pulling the rug out from under their new careers. They fear cheap Chinese EVs could flood the market before Canadian factories even get going. But for Canadian families, EVs are still expensive. The promise of affordable Chinese models is tempting. The government's caught between protecting high-value jobs and making green tech accessible. Tariffs helped the first goal, but hurt the second by keeping prices high. Carney's government is stuck to support auto workers or make EVs affordable for everyone. It's a classic conflict: producers versus consumers, jobs versus climate action. The tariff debate is about more than cars. It's about who gets to benefit from the green transition. And right now, there's no easy answer. Now, let's head west to the prairies where the story is all about canola. China was Canada's biggest buyer, until the EV tariffs. In retaliation, China slapped huge tariffs on Canadian canola, devastating farmers overnight. Grain piled up, prices crashed, and farmers faced financial ruin. For them, the EV tariff isn't a shield, it's the cause of their crisis. They don't care about auto jobs in Ontario, they want their market back. Carney is under immense pressure from the agricultural sector to fix this. Farmers see removing the EV tariff as their only hope. When news broke of Carney's talks with China, markets reacted instantly, betting on a deal. For prairie farmers, the tariff review isn't a risk, it's a lifeline. The government faces a stark choice: protect auto jobs or save the farm economy. Either way, someone loses. In late September 2025, Carney met with China's premier at the UN, a meeting loaded with meaning. It was the first real dialogue since the tariff war began, and both sides hinted at a possible deal. The message: Canada eases up on EV tariffs, China lifts agricultural sanctions. This could be an off-ramp from months of tit-for-tat trade war. For Carney, it's a chance to show Canada can chart its own foreign policy, not just follow the US, but optimism is mixed with anxiety. Auto industry leaders fear a separate deal with China could betray the North American alliance. The handshake in New York opened the door to peace, but also to new tensions at home and abroad. Canada's next move could redefine its global relationships. Back home, Ontario Premier Doug Ford is pushing back hard. Ontario's auto industry depends on the tariff, and Ford sees any review as a threat. He warns that dropping the tariff could turn Canada into a dumping ground for cheap Chinese cars, cut off from the US market. Ford's focus is Ontario jobs and the province's deep ties to the US auto sector. He fears angering Washington could unravel cross-border supply chains. The standoff is clear: Ottawa wants flexibility, Ontario demands protection. Carney mind faced a political bout in the job of the Donson Sun, with this future of Canada's auto industry on the line. Meanwhile, the US is watching closely, especially now that Trump is back in the White House, and the world is paying attention to every move. The stakes are higher than ever, with American politicians, business leaders, and everyday citizens glued to the news, anxious about what comes next. Trump's trade policy is blunt: America first, tariffs everywhere. He's made it clear that protecting American jobs and industries is his top priority, and he's not afraid to use tariffs as a weapon. Tweets fly, headlines blare, and the message is unmistakable: America will do whatever it takes to stay on top. The 2024 tariffs were designed to present a united North American front against China, aiming to block cheap imports and strengthen the continent's manufacturing base. The idea was simple: stand together or risk being undercut by Chinese competition. But if Canada backs out, it creates a backdoor for Chinese EVs into North America. Suddenly, the entire strategy is at risk, and American officials worry that their efforts could be undermined overnight. US automakers fear a flood of cheap cars in Canada would pressure them to cut prices and jobs. The ripple effects could be devastating: factories slowing down, layoffs mounting, and communities across the Midwest feeling the pain. Trump's response? Likely swift and punishing. Think new tariffs on Canadian goods, from lumber to steel, and maybe even agricultural products. The message to Ottawa would be clear: defy Washington and pay the price. For Carney, it's a nightmare scenario: keep tariffs and hurt Canadian farmers and businesses, or drop them and risk a trade war with the US. Either way, the consequences are severe, and the pressure is relentless. Canada's decision is now a test of its relationship with America in a turbulent era. Every handshake, every statement, every negotiation is being scrutinized by both sides of the border. The stakes go far beyond cars. They're about sovereignty, alliances, and economic survival. What's decided now could set the tone for years of cooperation or conflict. One misstep could reignite trade wars that hurt everyone, from Wall Street to small-town factories, and send shockwaves through global markets. Carney is squeezed between a panda and a bald eagle, with no easy way out. The symbolism is stark. Caught between two giants, Canada's next move could define its future. The world is watching, and waiting for Canada's next move. Allies, rivals and markets are all holding their breath, knowing that what happens here could echo far beyond North America. The outcome could reshape North American trade for years to come, altering the balance of power and prosperity across the continent. So, where does this all lead? Canada faces three choices. First, keep the tariffs, protect the auto sector, and let farmers suffer. Second, negotiate a compromise. Lower tariffs in exchange for China lifting farm sanctions, risk angering both the US and domestic hardliners. Third, scrap the tariffs entirely, help farmers and consumers, but risk a trade war with the US and a flood of cheap EVs. Each path is risky, with no perfect outcome. This isn't just about cars, it's about balancing superpower relationships, jobs, and the future of green tech. Whatever Canada chooses, the road ahead will be bumpy. The world is watching to see which way Canada turns.